What's up guys, TG back here with another video going over Manifest Season 3 Episode 4, Tailspin. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy, and let's jump into the episode. The episode opens up with Ben waking up in bed with his hand glowing again, and he thinks that he needs to touch the tailfin. He's picked up by one of the NSA agents and is taken to the headquarters of the 828 investigation, where he meets up with Vance and Zombie. Vance takes them past the high-level security, and inside is the tailfin and other parts of the blown-up plane being reconstructed. We then see Michaela and Zeke in their new home. Michaela is struggling to take care of Evie's mom, who is having an episode. Zeke experiences something weird in which he felt like he was in her position, and afterwards he is able to help her calm down. At the precinct, Sarah talks to Jared more about her mother's disappearance. She tells him that on some days she took a longer route home in which she would walk through a park, and Jared tells her that he'll look into it. The three meth heads have a calling in which they are running down a dark hall with a clock counting down. Afterwards, they all start experiencing symptoms that will lead to the death date, coughing up water, and things that relate to drowning. Angelina talks to Pete and tells him to follow his callings so he can beat his death date, but he doesn't think it's possible from behind bars. Vance reveals to Ben and Zombie that he's now in charge of the NSA 828 investigation. Ben wants to see the tailfin, but Vance says that he needs to show him something else first. Angelina goes to Michaela and Zeke's house and wants them to help Pete solve the calling. They go and visit him in jail, and he tells them about the calling. Pete remembers the clock in the calling is from his high school football field. He was on the team for a bit and then got kicked off, and it was a big turning point in his life. Olive talks to Angelina about her reasoning for skipping her prom, which is that night. She says that she has to go study the Egyptian symbols in order to save everyone on 828, including Angelina and her family, and Angelina decides to help Olive. Michaela and Zeke go to the high school and talk to the football coach, asking him about Pete. The coach tells them that a player named Derek overdosed in the locker room and Pete sold him the drugs. This led to Pete, Jace, and Corey getting kicked from the team and Pete going to juvie. Michaela thinks the callings want Pete to come to terms with the death of Derek and the guilt it caused him. As they leave, Jace is seen watching them. Vance shows Ben and Zombie a surveillance tape of the tailfin in the NSA building vanishing the same day Zeke survived his death date, the meth heads died, and Zombie killed the Major. Vance also says that the erosion on the tailfin recovered from the ocean is consistent with it having been in the ocean for 7 years, even though that's obviously not how it happened. Ben finally gets up close to the tailfin and puts his hand on it, but nothing happens, and then he can't remember why he wanted to touch it. It's also revealed that Zombie's assistant Troy is alive and working for the NSA. Michaela and Zeke go back to Pete and talk to him about Derek's death. Zeke has another weird experience and is able to tell Pete is protecting someone out of fear. Pete says that the coach made him sell the drugs in order to stay on the team, and that he didn't rat him out because he would have been killed. Michaela wants to know where Jace is, and Pete leaves, and Michaela decides she's going to take an official visit to the coach's house. We then see Jace and Corey going to the coach's house as well. Jace wants to go in and kill him and has a gun, but Corey is trying to talk him out of it. Ben and Zombie are getting ready to leave, but Ben has another feeling with his hand. He thinks it's leading him somewhere, and he goes to a restricted part of the building. He follows the path his hand takes him on, and it eventually leads him to a room. Michaela arrives at the coach's house with their partner, and they find Corey shot. They also discover drugs in the coach's vent and arrest him. Corey reveals that Jace shot him for trying to stop him from shooting the coach, and Jace got away. Michaela visits Pete and tells him what happened, and he agrees to help them find his brother. Back in the NSA building in the secured room, Ben finds the dead and frozen body of Kelly, one of the 828 passengers that previously died of a gunshot wound to the head. One of the NSA doctors explains that her injuries and cause of death would now be found consistent with those that would be suffered on a plane's mid-air explosion. Kelly's tissues also had traces of algae that are the same of the algae that was found on the tailfin. Ben thinks that this is scientific proof that they died on the plane and then came back to life. At the end of the episode, we see that Zombie joined the NSA investigation, and Jared found the park where Zombie killed the Major. He's being watched by one of the NSA agents who calls Vance and tells him the info. That's it for this episode, and I have to say it's probably my favorite of the season. The mystery continues to grow while also giving us little clues. When the tailfin first appeared at the end of Season 2, I made a video debating whether or not they all were dead or had died, and now it seems to be confirmed that they did. it would be consistent with the robbers, Zeke, and the meth heads, and now there is scientific evidence to prove it. I'm really excited for next week as we are getting both episode 5 and 6 back to back. That's it for this video, guys, going over episode 4. Comment what you thought of the episode, and I'll be back soon with more Manifest videos.